Hi everyone, welcome back to Skinnybru Rugby. Round 12 of Super Rugby is done, and I think for most of us it was a pretty good weekend on the prediction front. Except for the two draws we had, no one actually ever calls draws, but some of us did get a few points because we called a win by a narrow margin. This is the recap video of the week. If you want to watch the Dream Team video, the link will be up here. The best predictor for the week, Mardeline, I think we had a score of 9.83. Subsequently, you took the lead over from Pierre-Lou, who has been in charge of the pool for most of the season. Let's get into the 7 games. The Crusaders and Sharks had a 21-all draw. The Crusaders rested a few big players, but they still had a world-class team on the field. They had a lot of indiscipline throughout the game, more than they usually have. They had 15 penalties in that game, and that just made Bosch take charge of the game, and he was kicking pretty well from the kicking tee, kicking over 7 penalties. The Sharks, they would feel they could have won this one. They were still in the lead close to the 80th minute of the game, and then the Crusaders fought back and got a try. But the Sharks mostly dominated that game. They at least got 2 points out of it for the draw, but I think their performance really surprised everyone. The Crusaders were struggling against a strong defense of the Sharks, because they had 67% of the ball possession, and yeah, they couldn't get a lot of tries like we are used to them getting. But the Crusaders have shown that they might be able to be beaten, that they're not that strong team as everyone has placed them as. They're still strong, but you can see there is a bit of a weakness, and they can underestimate the opposition. The second game of the weekend was the Reds beating the Sunwolves 32-26. For me, it wasn't the best game of watching. It wasn't good at all. It was a ill-disciplined performance from both teams. Bizarrely, it ended with 14 men versus 12 men of the Sunwolves, and yeah, it was ridiculous. The Reds, they won 63% possession of the ball. There's not much to say of either team's performance. Hegarty, he had the best performance for any fly half this week. There were a few guys that challenged him, but he was the guy scoring the most on Superbru. But both teams, they were very poor. One point I have to ask, Van den Heever, he scored 2 tries again. And are there any other wings that are South African born that are scoring more tries than him? He's a pretty big guy. I don't know. Tell me your thoughts if you think Gerard van den Heever could make it in a Springbok jersey, or should he make it in a Springbok jersey. We know there's a big chance that Rassie will go more to everyone that's playing in South Africa. Having already picked a few guys from overseas, I think he's not going to pick a lot more. Then the Hurricanes scored 29-19 of the Rebels. The Hurricanes actually led 26-0 after about 30 minutes of play. They scored 2 early tries just like last week, but from there on they didn't continue that attacking intent, and they actually looked strong defensively for most of the game. But the Rebels also, their attack was riddled with errors, so I don't know if it was enforced by the defense of the Hurricanes, or was the Rebels just performing that badly. The Rebels, they had a fight back at the end, scoring I think 3 or 4 tries with their subs coming on. They were extremely poor in the first half. They missed 24 tackles and they only made 50 tackles. So with that kind of stats, you are gonna fall behind against the New Zealand team. It's actually, to me, I thought they will fall behind even further. Cooper, he had a game to forget. He had poor passes, poor kicks at goals, and poor defense. just all around the park he needed to be subbed off, and they needed to bring someone on that could perform a little bit better. But it's been coming for this last couple of weeks. His performances has dropped a little bit. His form has dropped a little bit. But yeah, they need to start thinking of other substitutions for him just until he can get back into form again. Game number 4, the New Zealand derby, was also a draw. The Highlanders and the Chiefs 31-all. The Highlanders led 28-12 early in the second half, but the Chiefs just never gave up. Even though they've suffered a few big losses on the injury front before this game, and in this game they had 2 big injuries as well. At a stage, Wainui, the winger, had to go down at flanker for the Chiefs, but they still never gave up and they got the draw from the game. The conference for the New Zealand teams have a lot of draws on it at the moment. I think there's about 6 or so draws at the moment, 5 or 6. But the Highlanders, their performance, they had phenomenal offloading. Guys like Imopo, the lock, he had a stellar performance. He was just everywhere. There's one move there where he got the ball 3 times, went into a tackle, offloaded, stood back up again, ran, got the ball, offload again. That was just a great performance by him. The Highlanders will worry about Ben Smith though. He had a bit of an injury in that game where he slipped into a tackle. And yeah, the All Blacks will be stressed out about that as well. At the end of the game, Hansen was seen talking to Ben Smith, and Ben Smith was shaking his head, holding his knee, so I don't know if that's good signs for the All Blacks. But hopefully we get the news today or tomorrow that it's not that bad. Then Josh Ioane from the Highlanders, he had a great performance. He found the gaps not only for himself but for the players around him, and his kicks at the post were very good. Now I might be able to jump onto the bandwagon of everyone saying he should become the 3rd choice All Black, and I can see why. He did have a very good performance. It was good to see what he could actually do. Before this game, he didn't really do anything amazing. So could he be the 3rd Ioane brother for the All Blacks? We'll have to see. Then the next game was the Brumbies 26-21 of the Blues. Officially, a hooker is leading the try scoring stats of the Super Rugby season. Falau Vainga, he had a hat-trick in that game, scoring all his tries from the back of the maul. But that just showed the forward dominance of the Brumbies over the Blues, because 3 of their 4 tries were scored from the maul, and the Blues just could not stop it. Their backline though didn't look that impressive. They had a few breaks, but further than that the Blues could defend the backline. It's the 2nd loss for the Blues over Australian team in 15 matches, so they still have a very good record over Australian teams. Actually, the Blues could have won this game if it wasn't for the poor goal kicking of Black, who left 8 points begging in the first half. And you can't have a fly half that misses 3 or 4 kicks in a game. And then his substitution has a more poor record than him. They struggled at scrum time as well. Like I said, the Brumbies had an absolute dominant performance with the forwards, and it showed there as well. Then over in Pretoria, it was the Bulls beating the Waratahs 28-21. The scrum of the Bulls were dominant throughout the game. Kopoka again leading the charge, and he has to be getting the attention of the Springbok selectors. Snyman and Van Staden, they had great games. Snyman with his strong runs and bizarre offloading skills for a lock, and Van Staden on the turnover front, or just making a nuisance of himself at the rucks. Vermeulen He also had a great game. He had one try where he ran about 60 meters and handed off Curtis Ronna for a try that wound back the years so that you could see what he always used to do. That's the type of stuff he can do. The Waratahs, they just stayed in it without doing anything fancy. They had the scores level 13 minutes from the end of the game, and like I said, they didn't actually do anything fantastically. They just repeatedly get the scoreboard ticking. Doesn't matter how strong your performance are. They were good at attack. They did have a few nice cutting runs, a few good kicks from Foley and Beale. The defense was good. They didn't miss any kicks. Their scrums, there was a bit of a problem. But yeah, so they actually had a good performance, but it wasn't good enough over the Bulls team. Then the Jaguars 30 over the 25 of the Stormers. Now the Jaguars have won 4 games in a row, 3 of them being South African teams. As always, they had a great attacking game with outrageous offloads that stuck even if it's a 50-50 pass. There was a lot of penalties in the game, and at the end they almost lost the game because of that. I think they gave away about 5 or 6 penalties in a row, and the Stormers just got into their half of the field. But a poor line out from the Stormers 5 meters from the try line of the Jaguars after the hooter sounded cost them. The poor attacking performances from the Stormers continues. Jean-Luc du Plessis at the 10. He took too long with the ball in hand. By the time he actually wanted to release the ball, the defense of the Jaguars were already too close to the Stormers attacking line. And Jean-Luc also tries to give these massive passes and strange kicks. So I just think his attackers around him also don't know what he wants to do. So they're not standing deep enough because they know sometimes he's just going to give a chip kick and you need to chase. Yeah, and he takes so long on the ball, like I said. There were a bit of a more promising performance at pivot when Jean-Luc went off and Damien moved to his preferred position at 10. Then the line started looking like it can attack a bit better. They actually scored a try. And yeah, that's just where I like seeing Willemse play. I know he needs to be playing fullback for this year's World Cup for Rassi's ideas, but the Stormers really need him at 10. Jean-Luc du Plessis, I just don't like how he plays. If he could move the ball a bit quicker, maybe a thing will change. Yeah, that's a recap for the week, guys. The Dream Team video will be somewhere here on my left. If you like my content, please subscribe. Join the Superbru pools down in the description below, and then I'll see you for the videos for round 13. Cheers.